Good morning. My name is Leon. I'm an estate planner for GP3. Just making sure that everything's working. There we are. Could everybody see that moving? Perfect. So a little bit about myself. Now, I joined GP3 back in May of 2022. So I've been with GP3 for 15 months now. I decided to take the plunge and do something completely different to what I was used to, and really wanted to make a bit of a difference and make a bit of a change, and be able to help others out. So my partner Sophie, we've been together for four short years and counting. I mean, it's flown by, it doesn't even feel very long, but yes, we're still going strong. We have an English Springer Spaniel. His name is Simba. You can see him there, a little brown and white dog, but more popular that people know the name Simba is this little fella. Not quite as cute, but yeah, definitely that's where his nickname comes from. We also have a border collie. Her name is Daisy. She's only very, very young. She's very small and very energetic and keeps us on our toes. I love the performing arts sector. I actually originally met Sophie 11 years ago now, when we went to college together and we studied A-level performing arts and musical theatre. Partially where my love for musicals and pantomimes comes from, so you can't keep us away from that. And most importantly, I love working on being the best version of myself. Every day I strive to always better myself, whether that's developing knowledge or learning something new, or even just helping one another out. And last but not least, like a typical bloke, sports. We love a bit of sport. More importantly, you might remember me from, I've just moved to Tottenham Hotspur, or at least some people say I have. Don't quite have such a great tattoo sleeve like James Maddison does, but no, my love for sport, and I am a Leicester City supporter. So a little bit about GP3. GP3 was established in 2001. We're 22 years old now, and we have primarily built our business, or not myself, but all of us at GP3 have primarily built the business off word of mouth. And it's very much been a passion for the three former directors of building up the company and making something of their own. So we are a team of independent financial advisors. We deal with pensions and retirement, inheritance tax planning, tax advantage investments, investment management, corporate advice. We have over £150 million under our management. And most importantly, where I come in, estate planning. So why don't people have a will? People think they don't own much. Everything will go to my spouse, partner, and children anyway. I don't need one. Someone else will sort things out. I don't want to tempt fate. Or I'm not going to die yet. Now, these are some of the most common responses that we hear. Quite surprising, really, but these are the responses that we do hear quite frequently. But it's important to note that we don't sell wills. We're not your typical pushy salesman. We're there to give tailored, independent advice to the individual to make sure that we are making sure that everything is as personal as it can be, and it's ultimately down to the client's wishes. We make sure that everything is adhered by and everything is as comfortable as they need it to be. We make sure it's in place for their benefit. It's nothing to do with us. It's us providing our support and making sure that their wishes are ultimately taken care of. So why do people need a will? Well, without teaching you to suck eggs, obviously it allows the individual to direct their estate to whoever they wish to on their death. Now, we all know what a will is there for. A lot of you guys already have a will, which is great to see. But what happens when you don't have a will? Well, the laws of intestacy apply. Now, I'm not sure if you can all see that. Hopefully you can. But this is just a brief outline of where your estate goes if you didn't have a will. So if you are married, your estate, if it's worth less than £270,000, it will go directly to your spouse. They get everything. Anything more than that gets split between your children and your spouse in those corresponding orders. Now, I won't go into detail. You can clearly see there. And if you would like a copy of this afterwards, drop me a message and I will send you a copy of the laws of intestacy. So what about charity donations, gifts to friends? What happens to your home? Now, these are all very important things to consider. More often than not nowadays, your home is typically worth more than £270,000. With inflation, the value of things, cost of living, everything is sort of going up in price. So if you have a home, that's really something to worry about, or at least take into consideration when thinking about a will. So how can your will help you? It keeps your hard-earned money in the family. You protect your assets, property, and capital from any potential risks, and it gives you emotional peace of mind. So the main things that we help out for within a will, protecting of assets, it helps you mitigate against inheritance tax. It will cover care fees, or will combat something known as sideways disinheritance, or also known as second marriage syndrome. Now, inheritance tax, everyone can give £325,000 to anyone free of inheritance tax on death. More commonly, this is known as the nil rate band. Now, homeowners can give an additional £175,000 to direct descendants, whether that's children or grandchildren. This is known as a residence nil rate band, meaning that married couples can pass £1 million free of inheritance tax to their direct descendants. Now, it's worth noting that second properties cannot be gifted to children or anyone else without incurring immediate capital gains tax. Or, alternatively, if you're feeling like myself at the moment, there's a few moths coming out of the wallet, so I don't really have to worry about inheritance tax at this time. Next one is care fees. Now, how do I avoid care fees? Don't get wiped out by them. Protect your assets and capital, and we can do that via trust. Now, we can't completely avoid care fees, not unless you can live forever. But there is something that's been raised that is known as a personal care cap. Now, this is £86,000 per person over a lifetime that will be paid towards care. But it's worth noting that this is due in October 2023, or at least it was. It's been pushed back to 2025. Sideways disinheritance. Now, what exactly is that, and how can children lose out on a share of their parents' estate? Here's an example. So if you imagine that you have two parents who are happily married and they have two children. The father passes away and all of his assets pass to the mother. If the mother then remarries to a new husband and unfortunately passes away, then the new husband will now inherit not only all of the mother's assets, but that also includes all of the father's assets that originally passed across to the mother, which means that nothing will be remaining left to their two children and their own family, and all of their family wealth has been inherited by a completely different family. Now, it can be quite a significant thing, especially when there's a large amount of money within a family or even a house or an estate. So keeping it within your own family is quite a critical thing that people typically want their assets to stay. The next one is, there's a lot going on here, and that's just to illustrate our normal lives. So we spend a lot of our time networking, we're planning, we're building our business. We've got so much going on. We're building up the business. We've saved into our pension our entire lives. We spend a lot of time building these puzzles and this jigsaw of life that we actually forget to look after our estate and everything that we're actually building up. So the bright idea in the middle is making sure that we have a will in place. Next of all, who are our ideal referrals? Well, you never would have guessed. It's you. Business owners, families and friends, mortgage brokers, accountants, financial advisors like ourselves, insurance brokers, and many, many more. And that leads to our Q&A. Does anybody have any questions?